I don't know if people are joining us yet. We're just having a little tinkle until we've got everybody here. If you've joined us, hello. Welcome. Aha, there we go. We have a live feed on my screen. That's marvelous. We'll just give it a minute, let people turn up. And we'll be good to go. If you are the first people here, hello, good evening, hi, welcome. It's only 1 minute past 7. Nobody's ever on time for these things. We're going to lock the doors at 5 past. Nobody else will be admitted. I've got the stream, but I'm not moving. That's interesting. I hope I'm moving for you. I'm not moving for me. This is the new world of show business, folks. Make sure that you guys can see this. Let me have a look. I hope I'm moving for you guys because I'm not moving on my screen. All I've got is a frozen me. If Freya can hear me, send me a message, Freya. Let me know it's all okay, and then we can start. It doesn't matter if I'm not moving on my screen, as long as I'm moving on everybody else's. It's weird when I can't speak to anybody. Nobody can tell me. If any of my friends are watching, text me and tell me that it's working. How professional. My mum's meant to be watching, but I won't trust her to be able to text me and tell me that it's working. If she's got it working on her television, I'll be very impressed. Are you there, Mum? Can you hear me, Mother? How's it looking, Freya? If it's working for everybody else, we are okay. We're just not working for me. I'm moving. Oh, good. My wife's told me I'm moving. That's even better. There you go. I could have just asked her to shout down, which is what she did. Okay, everybody. Hi, welcome. I'm glad I'm moving on your screens. We were going to try and do messages and do like a live thing, but I don't think that's going to work because I can't see it on my screen. So I'll just trust that you're there, and we can't do shout-outs. Unless you've got my number and you want to text me personally, then I'll do a shout-out. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the evening. And a huge thank you. If you are watching this live right now, because this is going to be available after the event on the Vale Facebook page. So some people may be watching this after the live event. If you are watching it now live, a huge thank you for not watching the Strictly final. Unless there are now people switching off because they've suddenly realised they're missing the Strictly final. I might have just shot myself in the foot. But if you are here live, thank you. Maybe you can do both at once. You can have me on your phone and the Strictly final on the telly. Multitask. I wonder what my wife's watching. I bet she's got me on mute next to her and she's watching the Strictly final. I know where her priorities lie. So, good evening. My name's John Courtenay, and it's my pleasure to be here as part of the Mosley Council Christmas Cracker and the Vale live event. And we're on YouTube as well, streaming on YouTube, hopefully. Still haven't got used to this, you know. I've been doing live shows to live audiences for 30 years. Nothing will ever take the place of a live audience. I have a camera here in my little studio, my little grotto. Do you like my grotto? I have my little balloon dog decorations and my snowmen and my lights. I made an effort. So yeah, this is the new way. I've been doing shows for the last couple of weeks, really, like this in my studio. And you can't always see people, but then the feedback afterwards, people send me messages and say they had a good time, so I've just got to remember, it's like television. There are millions of people out there. Well, there are thousands, hundreds, tens of people watching. I don't know. But it's my pleasure to be here. So, let's get on. We haven't got long together. Let's kick off with a song that started this newfound fame for me which was Britain's Got Talent, and a slight variation on my audition song that kicked this all off. There was a man who had a dream that one day he would be seen by an audience possibly from the Vale in Marsley. And in the time that one song took, David Williams would write another book. Alicia would smile at him, Amanda would be kind to him, Simon's teeth would be blinding him, but nothing now could ever spoil the dream he dreamed like Susan Boyle. The fact is he never thought he'd ever get to be in front of millions of thousands, hundreds of people in Mosley. 30 years of playing in piano bars and pubs, dodging glasses when they're being thrown out of clubs. When he realizes he's older and 50 ain't so far, and he's having trouble making all the payments on his car, and his children ask Daddy, when you're coming home? This game is not the same when you're just Daddy on the phone. So he sits at the piano and he tries to get prepared, thinking he'll write it in third person so he doesn't feel as scared to sing about himself to a bunch of strangers in the dark. But then Britain has got talent and he wants to make his mark. Paul Potts won the first year and said it was insane. The second year George Sampson won Singing in the Rain. Diversity won the third year, and then the world would see a dancing dog, he stole our hearts. The winner was Pudsey. Lost Voice Guys season 12, and last year Colin Thackeray. So why not me? That's what he said. His youngest boy one night in bed. Dad, why not you? Go and show them what you do. And even though you'll be a wreck, at least you'll meet Ant and Dec. Now this next bit was cut from the broadcast, so unless you were live at the Palladium when I did this, you won't have heard this next bit. How's that for an exclusive? Maybe you'll see why they didn't use it. And that's when he tells his son he has to admit, when he meets Ant and Dec, how does he know which is which? If Dec is the short one, then Ant must be the one who got replaced by Holly Willoughby. I know that was a while ago, but that was topical when I wrote it. Then he thinks on stage, at this stage in his life, with an expensive mortgage and a pensive wife. His youngest son, Alfie, says, what's it all about? If he had any hair left, he'd pull it out. His teenage son said, His dad taught him to play piano, but he didn't live to see his son performing a show virtually from Mosley. If he didn't see it through, imagine how sad the look on the faces of both his lads, who always tell him, you're the greatest showman, Dad. And they saw me on TV, now they'll see me virtually in Mosley. This is me. Yeah, that was the song that started it all off. I'm going to have one more go at trying to get these messages up. Hang on a sec. No, we can't. What a shame. I wanted to see you. I wanted to see you chatting to me and all that kind of stuff, but it's not going to happen. Never mind. Okay, I'll give up with that. I need a technical director that can come here and fix it for me. It doesn't matter. That's okay. So that was it. That was the beginning. That was that's what got me Ant and Dec's Golden Buzzer. Hugely unexpected, obviously. I was actually the last act on in London on the last day of auditions in London. The show had been there for a week or so, I think, and I was the very last act on. Everybody was really tired. I was watching the show from the wings before I went on, and Ant and Dec were rubbing their eyes, and Simon was getting a bit ratty because everybody was tired. It was gone 11 o'clock at night, and they'd been there for, as I say, a couple of weeks. So I was the last act, and they'd already used, the only Golden Buzzers left were Ant and Dec's and David Williams, and they still had all the auditions in Manchester to do. So I just thought, statistically, there's not much chance of this happening for me, so I didn't really think about it. So when Ant and Dec ran out, at first I thought something had gone wrong, because normally you don't see this when it's being broadcast, but Ant and Dec normally only run out Martin says, nice shirt. Thanks. Thanks, Martin. When they run out, it's because something's gone wrong. I'll take that off because that's going to start buzzing. That's nice if we get messages on there. Thanks, Freya. Freya's going to give me some messages. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Right. I can read some. So when the video, they're great, brilliant, it's working. And Martin says, nice shirt. And Kerry says, hey. Hi, Kerry. Good. Yeah, so I thought something had gone wrong. Ant and Deck ran out, and I thought something had gone horrendously wrong. And then I realised, because my son was on stage yelling, Dad, you've done it. Dad, you've done it. And then they pushed the golden buzzer, which was a bit mind-blowing. And, of course, in those days, we could still hug. That was filmed in January. The auditions were filmed in January. Back in the days when a corona emergency meant you had no beers left in the fridge, and now it's changed completely. So Ant and Deck, lots of hugging. Simon's a good hugger. Who knew? Simon's a good hugger, and he had a lovely soft jumper on, like a cashmere jumper. And it was so soft and lovely. When we got home, my wife went out and bought me a grey V-neck cashmere jumper. I don't know who she's thinking of when I'm wearing it, and if I kiss her, maybe she's got a thing for Simon. I haven't asked her that. So I had to come up with something for my semi-finals. Before we go into that, let me give you a little bit of background. I started playing the piano when I was very young. I was about 5 years old when I started playing. My dad taught me to play. My dad taught me a children's song when I was 5. That was the first song I ever learned. You might remember this. Old MacDonald was dyslexic, O-Y-O-Y-E. That was a classic. Also ignited my sense of humour. Maybe it didn't ignite yours. I've got no idea. I can't see or hear you. Might be a good thing. You might be boring. So that was that one. Then my granddad taught me songs by Nat King Cole. Now, some of you watching may be too young to remember Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole was an amazing performer, a singer and a piano player. And he had a big hit with this song. And this was the second song I learned when I was about 6 years old. Unforgettable. I can never remember that one. That's weird. I'll wait for the laughter to die down in your rooms. That was the second song I learnt. And then I was very lucky. I started working on the cruise ships. I got some jobs working on these wonderful, huge cruise ships. And not all the big ones, some of the small ones. And it was a great career, wonderful live audiences and bands. You had a live band and as much food as you could eat. And I got to travel the world. My family got to travel with me a lot. My eldest son is 15 and he's been on 58 cruises. We didn't pay for any of them. I was getting paid, but I got to bring him with me. So that was a huge privilege. So he's been well-traveled. So I had a good time on the ships. Generally, 99% of my time on the ships was great. The ships have changed a lot since I was working on them. They've become very family-friendly now. You've got Disney and Celebrity and Royal Caribbean, these 6,000 passenger ships with water slides and ice skating rinks and dodgem circuits. It really is a small town. But maybe just before I started on ships, it was a slightly different environment. The audience could be a lot older. Generally, cruising was for wealthy older people who had retired and were spending their kids' inheritance traveling around the world. And nowadays you've got these family ships. So sometimes the audiences were a little bit older is what I'm trying to say. And I'm not being ageist. You've got to be very careful nowadays not to upset people. You've got to be politically correct. If you pick on people for their age, you're being ageist. If you pick on people for their sex, you're being sexist. If you pick on people because they run marathons, you're being racist. You've got to be very careful. So I'm not being ageist, but some of the audience were a little bit older, which was fine. You know, it was rare that you got a standing ovation because a lot of them couldn't. So interesting times. And then the families came on and I had a wonderful, as I say, wonderful career. But I do want to tell you briefly about one experience on the ships. Now, I don't want this to put you off. If you're thinking about doing a cruise for a holiday, don't let this put you off because this isn't the norm. This was very unusual. But I was scheduled to join a ship in Southampton that was crossing to the Caribbean. And it was going to have 2 weeks in the Caribbean and then coming back to Southampton. And I was booked to perform on that first week crossing the Atlantic. And then I was going to fly home. And I've done the Atlantic before. Crossing the Atlantic, normally 1 or 2 days is going to be a little bit choppy because it's the Atlantic and, you know, they have storms and stuff like that. But this particular time, for 5 days, a force 10 storm followed us across the Atlantic and we couldn't get out of it. The captain kept diverting and the storm kept following us. It was like a cartoon cloud over the top of the ship and it just followed us. So it was horrible. So I did my show on the second day. They had to bolt the grand piano to the stage so it didn't roll off the stage. It was proper scary. And then on the fifth day, the guy that was meant to do the show was ill. He was seasick. So they asked me if I could do a second show. And I had to put something together really quickly. So I wrote a song especially for the show. And unlike the ship, the song went down well. So I thought I'd do it for you. Because even if you've never been on a ship, as I say, this is not normal. This was not a normal experience. It was for 5 days in a Force 10. It was pretty horrible. But I wrote this song, and this is the Seasick Shanty. I borrowed the tune. I borrowed the idea of the tune from a wonderful group. If you haven't seen Fascinating Ada, They're amazing. They are just so funny. Google it when you finish here. Google Fascinating Ada. They wrote a song, completely, it wasn't anything to do with being seasick, but it had this little Irish jaunty jig to it, and it totally inspired this song. So total credit to Fascinating Ada. But this is the Seasick Shanty. We booked a cruise on the internet, a trip for 30 days. Food is all included, we really were amazed. We were looking forward to cruising and to eating on the ship, but they didn't tell us that we'd spend the first week being sick. Seasick, seasick, my head's in the latrine. I'm sick, she's sick, we're fed up being green. The food that they promised us included in the fare was laid out every evening for the passengers to share. I know some people ate it and some went back for more, 'cause when they couldn't find a bag I saw it on the floor. Seasick, seasick, the ship went up and down. I'm sick, she's sick, back to Dublin town. I was looking forward to dancing in the evening with me wife, but it's hard to dance while holding on and fearing for your life. I tried to be romantic and give her a little kiss, but as I moved towards her, the ship moved and I missed. The gentleman I landed on looked a bit surprised. He held me in his arms and his eyes were open wide. I said, "Thank you, sir, for catching me, not letting me hit the floor." He gave me a wink, then every night he was knocking on me door. Seasick, seasick, the ship went up and down. I'm sick, she's sick, back to Dublin town. I know when we get there and we're lying on the sand, listening to the steel drums of a Caribbean band, we'll soon forget and won't regret the advice from weathermen until someone reminds us we've got to go back again. It's not all bad when the sea moves you all around. There can be a benefit, a silver lining that I found. My wife felt romantic, so I suggested with a smirk, we'll go to bed and lie there, let the ship do all the work. Seasick, seasick, the ship went up and down. I'm sick, she's sick, back to Dublin town. We booked a cruise on the internet so we wouldn't have to fly. We booked to do it again and hope the waves will still be high. We'll cross the North Atlantic, and if you're wondering why, we got to try positions that we never thought we'd try. Seasick, seasick, this holiday is great. We've both been throwing up so much, we both lost so much weight. Seasick, seasick, now we're having fun. We're bouncing up and down in bed, the holiday has begun. Ooh. Now, normally I take a sip of water as I listen to the applause die down. I'll just pretend it's in the background. Okay, cheers everybody, happy days. So that was the Seasick Shanty. Now, what happened with BGT is I now had a lot of time to come up with the idea for my semi-final song, because the Golden Buzzer meant I was straight through to the semi-finals. So this was filmed in January. It was going to be broadcast in April, and at that time we still thought that the semi-finals were going to be in May, with the finals in June, which is what normally happens. And of course, as we all know, that didn't happen because of this damn corona. So come April, when it was broadcast, I had written a song. Now, the song that I wrote quite quickly after my audition. As we were leaving the Palladium Theatre, I fell down some steps outside, and my wife caught me and stopped me falling into the road. And she said, "Don't die, that would be a waste of the Golden Buzzer," because she's really thoughtful and loving. So we giggled and we laughed. And then I thought it was quite funny. I thought, what are all the things that... Now I've been given this huge opportunity of a Golden Buzzer on Britain's Got Talent. What are all the things that could go wrong? How could I mess this up? And of course, the biggest way I could mess it up would be if I died. So on the train on the way home, I started writing the idea for this song. And I wrote it in a couple of days. And I was pleased with it. It was funny. It was a bit quirky, and my sense of humour. And I sent it off to Britain's Got Talent because they have to okay everything, all the producers. And they loved it. They said, "Yes, this is great. It's good fun. We can have dancers dancing with you, and it's a big production number." So that was in January. So then fast forward to April, all this happened. And I didn't hear anything for a while until about halfway through April. And I can only imagine what the production meeting must have been like at Britain's Got Talent with all the directors and the producers and the senior this and the senior that, when somebody realised that Ant and Dec's Golden Buzzer Act was fully intending at this point to go on stage during a national pandemic and sing a song called "I Must Not Die," which was what I called the song. obviously that couldn't happen. So they phoned me and politely told me that it couldn't happen. Obviously, I realised it couldn't happen. My wife told me it couldn't happen. My best friends told me it couldn't happen. Everybody said, you can't do that song. And I was gutted because, you know, sometimes you write a good song and you think, that's a good song. But obviously, I couldn't do it. It would be in very poor taste, even if I explained like I am now. However, I've never really had a chance to perform it because obviously lockdown, no live shows. Would you like to hear it? If I don't hear anything to the contrary, then I'll do it. Hang on, we've got a few more messages. Can we get a shout out to Esme? She's 7. Esme, hi. That's a shout out. And the Clays-Jones family. Hello, Clays-Jones family. Esme and the Clays-Jones family. So yeah, this is the song that I wrote. And I thought I'd do it for you because I still think it's a good song. Just remember that I didn't write this song after the pandemic had happened because that would be in very poor taste. A lot of people have suffered horrendously. A lot of people have lost loved ones. So there was no way I could have ever performed this on national TV. But I can perform it on Mosley TV and YouTube TV for you guys. So this was originally going to be my semi-final song at Britain's Got Talent, and it's called I Must Not Die. On the edge of my success, I don't want to make a mess of this opportunity that I have got. In these crazy circumstances, I don't want to take chances with my Britain's Got Talent semi-final spot. I can't see any reason why for this 14th season I couldn't be a possible hotshot. The only problem I can see could ruin any chance for me is if I'm dead, and I've thought of this a lot. I must not die. That would be quite traumatic if I die. It could be problematic, so I'll try to remain emphatically alive. I must not die. Now at this point it sounds like the Seasick shanty. I don't know why I wrote this first. My career could bounce back from an assortment of setbacks. I could maybe stub my finger or my toe. I could get a broken nail, or there are many kind of ailments which would never make a difference to my show. I'm hoping that the pearly gates will want to make my visit late. Heaven has got talent, undoubtedly, but I want to live to be the big branch on my family tree, so my grandchildren can see my spot on BGT. I must not die. That would be the final curtain if I die. Then I think I'm fairly certain that I'd cry. Though my eyes would not be working, they'd be dry. I must not die. Since I was on TV, I've had advice from family with the greatest of intentions, I am sure. Don't experiment with chemicals, socialize with cannibals, or catch a disease without a cure. I'm hoping that that's the same one. I'm not, what was the next bit? Oh no, this is why I haven't done it for so long. Without a cure. It's not on my agenda to put hands inside a blender or drink water that is anyway impure. So it must be safe to say that at the end of every day there is a good chance that my life will still endure. There are a lot of words to remember. And now the bridge I'm gonna croon. This is the bit of song with a different tune. But bridges can be another fatality. Like a bridge over troubled water, London Bridge is falling down. The rope bridge groaned in Indiana Jones, but Indy didn't die. Just like James Bond, you always can rely. The bullets will always miss him when they fly, leaving him to wittily reply, "No, Miss Moneypenny, I don't expect to die." Old school, Sean Connery. I can't do Daniel Craig. My wife wants to. I'm not dead like Shakespeare's Romeo, Mufasa killed by buffalo. Just wanna be a cameo, too early to say cheerio. Don't wanna be under a patio, that's why I did not die. Got there in the end. Yeah, I'm not sure that would have got me through to the finals, really, especially if I'd have done it in the present climate. So that was the original song. Couldn't do that, had to come up with something else. So I came up with the idea of the song for my mum and dad. which I haven't done for a while, actually. I've done a few sort of shows online and things like that, but I haven't done this song for a while. We are going to overrun slightly. I hope that's okay. You know, you can go and come back. You can watch a bit of Strictly, click back on again, record it. So I do want to do this for you because I know that my mum is watching, and this is really for her. So there's a little bit of story behind this, actually, on a little bit of backstage gossip about what actually happened at the recording of the show. There was a lot of rehearsals, as you can imagine. It was there's a creative director at BGT called Beth, and she's absolutely wonderful, amazing. She's always big ideas. And they said they were going to put me on this white grand piano, and they were going to project all the pictures onto the top of the piano as I sung the song. And so I thought it was a wonderful idea. So there was lots of rehearsals for the projector, for the camera, for the pictures, and for the camera shots, all to be synced up to my song as I was singing my song. So we ran it on the rehearsal day before filming. I must have done it 5 or 6 times. And then on the actual day, we had a couple of rehearsals. And then we came to the recording. Now, it wasn't, obviously there wasn't a live audience, but it was recorded as live. And they made a point of telling all the performers that. They said, you know, if you go wrong or you forget words, as if that would ever happen, you can't stop. You can't say, I'm sorry, can we stop recording? There will be no editing, basically. What you do is what goes out to the public. So, you know, it's as nerve-wracking as doing it live. So I'd written this song, and we rehearsed it, absolutely fine, not a problem. When it came to the recording, I had a huge, what can only be described as a brain fart. I don't know what happened. Halfway through the song, I just jumped. I skipped 3 verses and jumped to a verse near the end of the song. So the song was meant to be about 4 minutes, and it turned out to be 3 minutes. I skipped, basically cut a whole minute out of the song. So you can only imagine all the guys, the director and the producers, everything has been rehearsed for the full version of the song, and now they're recording it to be broadcast. And they've told me that no producers coming out and saying, okay, cut, we've got to go again. I don't think they were allowed to do that because it was a competition. They're not allowed to edit what's going out to the public, because otherwise they could edit it better for some people and not for others. And you know, you could be prejudiced into voting. So yeah, we didn't cut it. It went out as it was. So not many people have heard the full version, is what I'm trying to say. Now you get to hear the full version. All right. So this was when I was a boy. There I was again for some more BGT. Never dreamed the semis would include me. How could it be real? It must be a hoax. I'm just a piano man with a bunch of bad dad jokes. Let's do something topical. Christmas. What's the difference between snowmen and snow women? Snowballs. We had no live audience for the semi. Just you at home watching on TV. We were one judge down, so we got Ashley. Cycling for Simon is unhealthy, electrically, apparently. As for me, I was outside Tesco 2 meters apart. Hand sanitizer, gloves and a mask. So I was unrecognizable for people to ask, were you on BGT? It's a pain in the... Ask me why I do this, then they understood. Inspiration from Chaplin to Victoria Wood. As a child I saw variety shows on the screen, wanting to be Billy Connolly, Elton or Queen. My hair no longer grows, just out my ears and out my nose. My forehead now has met my neck, but no forehead jokes, it upsets Ant and Dec. Ant and Dec go together like Robin and Batman, like Phil and Holly, like Simon and Fake Tan. But the greatest double act the world ever had was Carolyn and Ivan, that's my mum and dad. They were on stage long before I was born. As a child I would sit there just shouting for more. They'd take me backstage, naked dancers I'd see. I decided show business was the business for me. I keep all the photos as I'm growing old, 'cause memories like this are more precious than gold. I made an album so I can reminisce when I look. Then I go back to putting pictures of my dinner on Facebook, Insta, Snapchat. When I was 11, in my first spotlight, I was nervous and shaking and damning stage fright, but I knew this was it, this was my life for me, so I let out my breath and a little bit of wee. He taught me piano, I'd watch them both sing. I'd sing the laughter they gave and the applause that it brings. And though they dreamed of fame and to be on TV, They were always the biggest stars in the world to me. For 45 years they were barely apart, but there wasn't a day when I didn't hear them laugh. Like when Dad dropped a glass of chocolate milk in the bath. When we saw the mess he said, I only meant to fart. True story. Dad was still laughing till his final bow, and the memories of him make us laugh even now. Mum said never give up, and she knows I love her, but even she never dreamed I'd get a golden buzzer. And then the big track came in the orchestra, which we haven't got today. My children have watched me from their youngest age bring music and laughter from up on the stage, just like I watched my mum, and her dream comes true now. She got to be on TV. So Mum, take a bow. Are you bowing, Mum? I hope you're standing up and bowing. Your family may be crazy, they may drive you around the bend. Your kids may drive you insane, it's a never-ending spend. But my mum always taught me, be proud of who you are. So now I teach my children, always reach for the stars. I wasn't going to go for the big note. We've got neighbours, and they might be trying to relax. There you go. So that was the full version. I don't know if you recognise the bits that you didn't see on the telly, but that was the whole thing. Time's up already, but I still had a couple more things to do. If we're okay for time, let me just check the messages here, see if we've had anything else come in. No, we haven't. Okay, then. I think we're okay for time. Mum is watching. Oh, Mum's just texted me. I'm watching. That's good. Hi, Mum. Okay. I was going to do the song that I did at the Raw Variety Show. Maybe not all of you saw it. And it's kind of a cute story. There aren't any Christmas songs in the show tonight. No sort of traditional Christmas songs. I worked in piano bars for years when I was younger. And at Christmas, that's all you could play. You know, people just wanted Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Silent Night and White Christmas. Don't get me wrong. I love listening to them. But if I never have to play them again, that's okay. Bar humbug. So there is a Christmas song, which I'll do, which is the Christmas song that I wrote for the Raw Variety. The story behind this, if you didn't see the Raw Variety Show, is every year for the last 13 years, I've written my wife Emma a song at Christmas. And I've given it to her on Christmas Eve, and she normally gets a little music video. I make a little music video to go with it. And yeah, I know, there are all the men out there that are being prodded by their partners saying, why don't you do that? I'm sorry. What can I say? It's the only way I can make up for all the stupid things I do in the rest of the year. It's not my fault I don't know how to load a dishwasher. I didn't even know we had a dishwasher. I told Emma that I didn't have time to do one this year because I've been too busy. Literally, you know, after BGT, that I've been doing all these virtual shows and writing stuff for people. And she understood that I didn't have time. But what she didn't understand is that I was lying. I wrote the song and I performed it on the Raw Variety Show. And what you won't have heard on the Raw Variety Show is the opening verse because they had to cut a lot of time because they were overrunning. Jason Manford had some time cut. Mel C got some time cut. Gary Barlow got a bit cut. If they cut Gary Barlow, they're bound to cut me. So you wouldn't have heard the opening verse, which was the bit that I wrote especially for the Raw Variety because that's been such a huge part of my life, watching that show every year with my mum and dad. So I'll do the opening verse as well, and then I'll play the song that I wrote for my wife, Emma. There have been so many famous pianists on this show, all superstar celebrities, all people that you know. Jerry Lee's great balls of fire burned here long ago. From the flamboyance of Liberace to the songs of Manilow. Not forgetting dear Les Dawson, who nearly killed the piano. Some of our younger viewers won't have heard of Les Dawson. It doesn't matter, Google it, it's very important. And now you're sat there wondering eagerly, who's following in the footsteps of those legends? Well, it's me. Like Laurel and Hardy, Barker and Corbett, Eric and Ernie, Bernie and Schnorbitz, cannon and ball, bombastic and shaggy. I'll be your Kermit if you'll be Miss Piggy. If I'm a Danny from Greece, I may not be as cool, but you weren't as innocent as Sandy at school. Like oceans and cruise ships, canals and barges, you're my budget airline, I'm your hidden charges. And we'll have Cosmos at Christmas, espresso martinis, survive in the morning on Prosecco Bellini. We'll toast our loved ones and we'll look around us at the joy on our boys and the joys that are Christmas. We go together like Adele Boy and Rodney, like Stephen Fry and Clever, like bunnies at Easter, like chocolate whenever. I love you as much as you love your TV, celebrities in jungles, husbands on BGT. More than Boris loves power, or a psycho loves a shower. More than honeybees love flowers, or Blackpool loves towers. More than Sinatra and swing, tantric and sting, the crown jewels and bling. So I'm gonna sing. We'll have Cosmos at Christmas and gingerbread coffees. You'll leave quality street wrappers in the tin with the toffees. We'll toast our loved ones and we'll look around us at the smiles on our boys and the joys that are Christmas. And even though everything one day comes to an end, like the last page of a good book or the last series of Friends, so our kids will grow older and leave their father and mother, but we'll survive that chapter too, 'cause we'll have each other. And we'll have Cosmos at Christmas and Boxing Day headaches, chocolates and mince pies and rich booze-filled fruitcakes. We'll toast our loved ones and we'll look around us at the smiles on our boys and the joys that are Christmas. There's more to think of, it's not all about us. I couldn't fit the drummers into the studio. If you saw the Raw Variety, I had 4 drummers from my old school came on at the end, and we went into the end of at the end of my final song, which is what I'm going to close the show with. This seems to be what I'm going to do on my tour as well. I've been assured that people still want to hear it. You know, it's just like Robbie singing Angels in every show. You must get a bit bored with it. I'm not comparing myself to Robbie. Oh, here's a heads up, a little bit of advertising. I'm going to be interviewing Robbie's dad. Robbie's dad, Pete, was a mentor of mine when I was 18 years old, and we're going to be doing a live interview on Twitter on Tuesday evening. I think it's 7 o'clock in the evening. So yeah, me and Pete, there's going to be a great chat. We'll talk about Rob and we'll talk about Pete and I working together and all that jazz. So if you want to come and join us on Tuesday, that'd be great. It'd be good fun. So this is the song that won it. This is the song that I wrote, and it seemed to touch a chord with people. You know, it was a hard song to write. Everybody, as I said, have been suffering so much, and I wanted to write something optimistic that would make people sort of feel better and look forward to the future, which is tough after today's news, everything that's going on. Tier 4. Who knew there was a Tier 4? So they invent these things. Now London's doing Tier 4. And I know some people up north are going, nah, ha, ha. Not nice. It's very horrible. It's really tough, especially over Christmas. It's going to be really, really horrible. So we've got to make the best of things. We have to use FaceTime and Skype and social distancing and all that kind of jazz. And we have to remember that Britain will carry on. What a segue to the song. Moments in your life don't get much bigger than this. It's a milestone like a wedding or a teenager's first kiss. But to be here now is feeling slightly odd. It's champagne and caviar. I'm used to Vimto and battered cod. And though this moment overwhelms me, the question must be asked. Do we sometimes miss the small things as life goes by so fast? Mosquitoes are only tiny, they can drive you mad, so never underestimate small things that make you glad. My wife makes me happy and she'll be there when I call. I got undressed and she got stressed when she realized it's just small things like the last shoes in the sale being the right size for you, a baby's expression when they're having a poo, looking in a junk drawer and finding a pen, fitting a size 8 when you were usually a 10. Small things that make you happy, small things that make you laugh. Bubbles make kids happy when they're trumping in the bath. Aardvarks are happy when it's alphabetical. Dogs will always wag their tails if they can lick their ball. Games make kids happy when they're playing, having fun. I wasn't happy when the schools closed and I had to teach my sons. I was happy when Boris told me I could finally hug my mum. But I was happiest in April finding loo roll for my bum. Ant and Dec are happy when they take home an award, so they've been pretty happy since 1994. You've got to seize the moment. You just live once, I hear you say. But that's not true, you die once, but you must live every day. Smile as if they've told you there's no need to quarantine. When you laugh in denim, happiness is in your genes. I was very proud of that rhyme, that joke. Happiness is small things like being with our friends. Little things like when the Queen said we'll meet again. On Thursdays on our doorsteps with pride inside our chests. Taking just a moment to clap the NHS. And it won't be long before these masks are gone. We'll be living life again to the maximum. And we'll remember people like Sir Captain Tom. And in years our kids will be reminiscing, not about the big stuff they've been missing, but that every day they got to play with Dad and Mum. And we'll remember that we were strong when McDonald's was closed for so very long. And Britain's talent will be that we all carried on. To be here now, to get this far, for you to make me feel like a star. For gratitude, I don't know where to start. When Alfie asked me, what's it all about? I thought I knew, but I had my doubts. But the answer is so simple and so smart. You'll realize through it all, the moments that you thought were small can take the biggest places in your heart. And if you're lucky, your family will play the biggest part. Merry Christmas, everybody, and a happy and healthy new year. I hope I will see you in the new year. I am touring the country. I know a lot of people watching this are obviously going to be based around here. So there are some tickets left at the Lowry Theatre. I'm going to be at the Lowry, fingers crossed, on the 22nd of January, all socially distanced. Hopefully that will still go ahead, 22nd of January. And then I'm all over the country during the rest of the year. JohnCourtenay.com is the website. You can follow me there. You can tweet. You can Twitter. You can... whatever you want to do, contact me. Let me just have one last look at the messages in case I've missed anything. I don't think so. Any more messages, Freya? Anything I've missed? John looks pleased with himself. Thanks, Gemma. I think we're good. Okay, everybody. Listen, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining us. What else to tell you? The Poppy Appeal, doing another show, probably similar to this one, for the Royal British Legion Poppy Appeal on the 28th of December. If you want to, the details will be on my website. If you want to join us for that, that'll be fun too. And don't forget, my interview repeat on Twitter on Tuesday evening. All right, everybody, listen, Have a great Christmas. Make it the best Christmas you possibly can under the circumstances. And a happy and healthy new year. I love you lots. And thank you to all of you for your support, especially everybody local. It's been amazing. You've been so lovely. I know I don't talk like I'm from up here, but I thoroughly feel like I am from here because you guys have been so lovely and your support has been overwhelming. So thank you very much for that. And I do hope that I'll get to meet you in person soon. Okay, we're going to go. Bye, everybody. Lots of love. See you soon.